So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to explain what causes house prices to rise. So there are three components to this: money supply, supply and demand, and interest rates. Now for now I'm just going to be talking about the money supply, and the other two, which are very connected to this, I will link in with a new video soon. So money supply. The central bank injects money into the system with QE, quantitative easing, and handouts like in COVID. So what is QE? Simply put, QE is when the central bank creates new money electronically, which is then used to purchase financial assets, primarily government bonds. So the government issues bonds and central banks issue new money, create brand new money to buy these bonds from the government. This increases the money supply and decreases the value of all existing money in that current system. So by issuing bonds, the government borrows money from investors, with usually central banks, with a promise to pay back the principal amount along with interest. Now, when it comes to paying these bonds back, they are paid back by creating new bonds, which again increases the money supply. So it's kind of a loop where the money supply is just constantly increasing. And I will explain, I'll show that in a chart in a minute. So the government receives this new money from the bond. What happens to this new money? Well, the government do what the government do, spend it very inefficiently, if we're being kind, or steal it if we're being honest. 1.7 million to paint the Prime Minister's planes. I'm sure taxpayers love that. Contracts to big consulting firms without tender, 56 million there. My favourite part on this video, what was that? Ice cream in Uruguay. Yeah, if you get into this, if you really start going down this, it does get quite annoying. Duff Deals one's pretty good, a lot in COVID, it was brilliant. But my favourite part is crony contracts. Crony contracts, paying Matt Hancock's neighbour 30 million to make PPE, face shields from a Conservative Council's company, testing to another employer. It's ridiculous, but this is how they spend their money. So how does this all affect house prices? Very simply, not just house prices, all asset prices go up, whether it's gold, Bitcoin, and none more so than property. Now, the less scarce something is, the less valuable it becomes. That's excuse me, a key concept within economics, within the supply and demand. The more the supply there is, the less valuable it is. So the more money in the system, the less valuable the old money in the system becomes. So if I have £1,000 and that's all the money in the system, and someone else produces another £1,000, my £1,000 is now worth a hell of a lot less. This is why it's a huge mistake to actually price things in a government issued fiat currency, because the supply isn't fixed. There's no fixed supply there. The price of anything that is a bit more scarce than this will always be increasing. So houses are difficult to build. You've got to buy land, you've got to test the land, you've got to dig into the land, you've got to put footings in, you've got to damp proof it, you've got to build the house, put a roof on, plaster it, connections, with drains, water, electric, gas, etc. It's a long, expensive process to build a house. To produce new money, you just press a button and that's it, the new money's in the system. So that's why when people say house prices are going up, that's a huge mistake. What they want to say is the value of the pound is going down. Now, according to this is official government figures, and they're always massaged to make the government look as good as possible. £100 in 1999 is the same as £45.34 in 2024. Now, I think we all know that's not true. There's no way. You all do your own shopping. I'm sure you've seen house prices, holiday prices, car prices. You know that since 1999 to now, things have more than doubled, a lot more than doubled. So we know this isn't true. But they're the figures we've got, and that's what we're going with. But yeah, that's not exactly like that. So here's a chart of house prices in the UK. In 1999, we'll go to 1999 was 70,000. Today's 290. That's a 4x and a bit. But something interesting happens when we add the money supply. If I can find that. Money supply here, M2, and the same scale. They're basically the same chart. They're very, very correlated. So as you can see here, this chart does a good job of highlighting how house prices don't go up on their own. And if you're someone like me who's a big property investor, you're not some kind of whiz who's doing anything particularly smart. You've not outthought the system. You're just playing the money supply game. That's all you're doing with property investing. Obviously there's rental income, there's mortgages, there's different strategies to really leverage this to outperform this. But all you're doing in effect is keeping up with inflation and keeping up with the new money supply. So yeah, whilst your life's more difficult for you, buying a new house is more difficult for you, these guys get their planes painted, new art, shelving documents. Yeah, it's ridiculous. But this is the reason why house prices have gone up. It's nothing to do with greedy landlords, all this that you hear in the news. This is why the money supply increased. This is 99% of the reason why. But like I did say, interest rates play a huge part. That's very connected to the money supply. And the supply and demand factor, the increase in population, plays a little part as well. But we'll go into that in another video. So yeah.